In this video, I'm going to walk you through a complete list of closing techniques that I've personally tested, refined, and used in the trenches. Some I absolutely love, some I'm not so fond of, but all of them are going to give you the ammunition that you need to close more deals confidently. One of the biggest mistakes that I see with closers is they get to the end of the sales calls, they handle objections, some better than others, and they don't go back in with another close. So it's very passive. It's like we're cuddling them into submission. We can't do that. Some people need leading into making a decision. And without a clothesline, without a way back into it, it can't happen. Remember, the framework for handling objections is acknowledge, first of all, then isolate if needs be, then we handle the objection, and then we re-close. That last part is missed off way too many times, and it's leaving opportunities behind and money on the table. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid that. You're going to discover a variety of really powerful closes, from calm invitational closes to creative risk reversal closes, and even some bold, very advanced closes that you have to earn the right to use. But by the end, you're going to have a couple of different clotheslines that you're going to be able to confidently adapt and use them in the sales calls to give you all of the tools to close more deals. I'm going to start with technically not a close, but it's still a close, and it's your test close question. So many sales reps don't do this, so they get to the end of their sales call, they're about to ask for the money, but they're not 100% sure in their head whether this person's ready to buy, wants to buy, or whether they're going to have a whole host of objections. Objections are actually easier to handle if you can get them before, either prevent them or even handle them before we're going to the price drop. So by using a test close question, we can use it as almost a temperature check, and we can see how hot they are and how ready they are to actually take action. So a great way of doing that is based on everything I've told you about whatever the program is and what's included. Are you 1000% beyond doubt that this is going to help you get towards XYZ, whatever their goal is? The reason we do that is because we're going to gauge that level of excitement, how ready they are. Because if they answer the question as, yeah, absolutely, we know that there's a very, very, very high chance that they're ready to take action and we can actually move into the close. But if they answer it with a, well, yeah, I guess so, that might as well have just been a no. So we can challenge that, find out where the hesitation's coming from, and then we can actually go in and try and close them again after that. But we're better equipped to get a nice simple process at the end of the call rather than every bit inside them telling them to run because you've just told them it's X amount of thousands of pounds. Sorry to interrupt your video, but I need to let you know that Ask Adam AI has currently got a completely free trial for 5 days. The reason you should be trying it out is because you should be reviewing every single one of yours and your team's sales calls. That is the quickest way to drive feedback and drive improvements, which means you can stop wasting your ad spend and stop missing out on opportunities and get your closes to the highest standard possible. That's the reason we built Ask Adam AI. It wasn't going to go to market. It was literally for us in our team to actually help us review our sales reps' calls and manage them in the best way possible, and it worked beyond expectations. I decided to test it out and see what it's really capable of. It's now trained to give you complete call reviews, break down your calls, go through your objection handles, but give you actionable drills to make sure you or your team get better. Then it gives you a platform to actually role play those calls, to put that into practice. And by the way, this was so good, it was like talking to myself. And finally, it can write call ready scripts. So if your sales team's struggling with certain areas of their call, they're struggling with certain questions, it can literally write out scripts for you so you don't have to worry about it. You can either check the link below this video, or you can just go straight to www.saleschief.co/Ask Adam trial. You get a 5-day free trial. After the 5-day free trial, which you can cancel at any time, it's just £295 a month to continue. So give it a go, see how your team responds, see how your team improve. What's there to lose? Anyway, back to the video. So the first close that I think you need to master, and this is my favorite, this is my go-to, and I think this should be everybody's first clothesline, and it's an invitational close. The reason an invitational close works really, really well is because people love to buy stuff, but they absolutely fucking hate to be sold to. When you're inviting them to make the decision themselves, it feels like they're buying it, which makes them more comfortable, but also we're giving them the opportunity to give us objections. We're not scared of objections, we need to have them. Rather than just having them run a mile, we want to get to the real objection as quickly as we possibly can. So it invites them also to tell you what's on their mind, and if that is an objection or maybe a logistical thing you need to overcome, you're in the best situation to actually try and handle it. A fantastic example of that is, based on everything you've told me, I'm super confident that we can help you get towards XYZ, and also I'd really like to work with you. I think what you're trying to do really resonate with it, and I think you'd be an amazing asset to our team. So what do you want to do next? The call to action is, what do you want to do next? It's invitational. Then you're either going to get a, well, how do I sign up? Or you might get a few questions, which might just be questions like good buying questions questions, which again, we can't be scared of, but you also might get, well, let me go away and have a think about it, or let me speak to my partner, whatever it may be, which is completely fine because we know our objection handles. We have to know our objection handles for that to work, and we're super sharp with those and we take them towards the real objection. Next, let's do a risk reversal close. And this is one where I do think sales reps jump to a little bit too easy, because what you're doing is you're offering them the ability to take a smaller action, which is less risky, in order for them to get started. And it can help you actually handle some objections. Not my favorite way of doing it, granted, but if you've got like a partner objection or something like that, you can offer the ability to put a deposit down to limit the risk, get them enrolled, get them started, and then they can sort out whatever they need to sort out later. So here's an example of it being used. Let's put a deposit down to secure your spot, and then if your partner does disagree or you change your mind in any way, shape or form, then you've got the ability there to refund. How does that sound? Sound good? The reason I don't necessarily like that one is because there's going to be a lot of flimsy sales there. There's going to be a lot of refund requests. I think it's a little bit more of a shortcut, but it can work. And the reason why I want to put some of these in here that I'm not so fond of is because other people will tell you that they get great success. A lot of this stuff is relative to what you're offering. You might be in an industry where there's a lot of hesitation. They jump inside and it's the best thing they've ever done. They're not even going to think about getting a refund once they're in. And if that's the case, great. This clothesline would work really, really well for you. But if you're using it as your go-to because you're not exactly skilled enough to actually handle the objections and you're just trying to get people over the line to try and get as many sales, this isn't the way to go. Then this objection handle is probably as useful as a chocolate teapot. Now, the takeaway close, which is actually one of my favorites. Some of my favorite sales that I've ever made have been with a takeaway close. There's nothing better than taking it away from someone and they go, no, 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 no. And then they tell you why they need to buy it. And that's why it's so powerful. Sometimes when you pull on something, they push. So when you take it away from them, they want it more. It's very, very risky. If you've not done a good job in the whole pitch and the whole discovery call beforehand, it's not going to be effective. But if you've had a fantastic call, you know beyond doubt that this person needs your stuff. They have to buy it. There's no way they should be leaving this call without buying your thing because it's going to fix everything for them. And they believe it, but there's just that one thing inside them that can't get them over the line. This is where a takeaway close works really well. But again, I wouldn't recommend this being your go-to on every single call, as fun as it is. So we've got two examples here, just a generic version of it. Honestly, if you're not quite sure whether this will be a good fit, maybe we should take a step back. What do you think? And when you're doing that, there is such a thing called non-buyer's remorse. So that will be going through their head like, oh my God, this is it, I've got to make a decision. And you can kind of hurry up that decision a little bit. Again, wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Where I would recommend it is once we've had one of those battles, you know, when we're having an objection battle, we're trying to close them. Maybe we've tried to close 5 or 6 times. We're looking at our clock and we're thinking, I've got another sales call coming up in a minute. I need to kind of wrap this up. I need to do something. A takeaway close works really, really well there. And there's a follow-up process as well if it doesn't quite work for you to how to go back into them, which I'll go into as well. So here's an example of that in action. I feel like I've done my best to showcase exactly how confident I am that we can help you get towards whatever their goal is. But it does seem to me that there's just something inside, whatever it may be, that means you're not as confident as I am and it's stopping you from moving forward. Do you agree? And they're obviously going to say yes. Okay, cool. Well, look, I don't think there's an awful lot that I can say or do at this point to showcase and help you match my confidence of how we can help you get a result or get you towards XYZ. Again, relay their goal in there. Nor do I really want to be like twisting people's arms into doing something they're not quite comfortable doing. So maybe I feel like it's best we take a step back. How do you feel? So with that, you're going to get 2 answers. We're going to get, no, I'm not, let's not be too hasty or whatever. And in that case, we can say, well, look, why do you feel like we should carry on talking then? And they're going to give you a reason why they absolutely want it and need it. Gives you a bit of power back into that conversation. The alternative is they go, you know what, you're right. I just can't make a decision. Don't know what it is. There's something inside me that's not helping me make a decision. The sale's not over in that regard. Remember, non-buyer's remorse is really powerful. They know they want it. They know they need it. Not everybody's ready to buy when you're ready to sell. And it's important you know that, but it's also important you don't use that as a weakness and you don't really try to get people over the line just because of that. We do our best. And when we get to that stage when we're like, look, this just isn't happening, before we piss them off, then sometimes the best thing to do is to give them that little bit of breathing space. But what we do is we go back to them. We put a plan together, which I'll go into in a separate video, which means that we can go back to them after a few days and we can ask them how they're feeling, if they've been thinking about it at all, what their situation is, whatever it may be. And I promise you they've been thinking about it non-stop over the last couple of days because of that non-buyer's remorse, and we can engage back into a conversation. I've made many sales by that method itself or that strategy, and it's not because it's a sleazy sales tactic, it's because that person genuinely knows they wanted and needed it. They just needed a couple of days to know that they were ready, which is completely fine. This next one's called the urgency close or a deadline close, depending on what you want to call it. And it's nice and simple. It just uses scarcity to urge a decision. It can work really, really well if you have genuine scarcity. Don't just make shit up because it becomes really obvious. So a great example of that is enrollment for this closes on Friday. Do you want me to hold your spot while it's still open? Yeah, okay, great, cool. You can move into the close. One of my favorites, and it's a classic from the OG Jordan Belfort, and it's the fair enough close. So the idea behind it is you create a statement that is fair enough, and we ask them if it's fair enough, and they go, yeah, cool. So it's a great way of getting them to commit to the next steps. There's loads of ways that you can use it, but just a quick example of it. Look, I'm not asking you to commit to this for life. I'm just asking you to take the next steps, and then you can try it and see for yourself. Fair enough? So it'd work really well if you're selling some sort of like subscription service or agency service where they're not committed for a long period of time. It can work really, really well with those because it's a no-brainer. And when you make it a no-brainer and you say fair enough, they go, that's fair, let's do it. And it really, really helps you with close. It's a favorite of mine. Obviously you need to tailor it to your industry and your specific niche, but alongside the invitational close, I really would recommend, because again, it makes them feel like they're in control of their buying decision as opposed to someone selling to them. The next one's called the puppy dog close, and it works really well if you've got like a try before you buy, or you've got some sort of like free trial and you're trying to get them in there. Obviously, if you've got a free trial and it converts really well, it can work fantastically well for you. So why don't you give it a try for the next 7 days? If you love it, great. If you don't, you just walk away, no questions asked. How does that sound? Again, a little bit like the fair enough question. You could add a fair enough in there. So it's a variation on the Jordan Belfort, but it's called the puppy dog close. The next one's called the Colombo close, which again, it's an old school original that still works really well in this day and age. It's really good to help you disarm objections as well. So an example of it. So just one more thing before I go, what would have to happen for you to feel comfortable about taking the next steps? The next one is one that I also feel can work really, really well, but it has to be used in the right way. And it's called an assumptive close or an either or close. And I'll give you 2 examples of it. The reason it works well is because we're giving them 2 options to choose from. Rather than yes or no, we're giving them 2 options, whether it's 2 packages or whether it's 2 ways to pay, different days to get started, whatever it may be. It just takes the brain to a different place. And rather than deciding, shall I, shan't I, it's which of the options should I move forward with. Again, if everything else in the call's not been done that great beforehand, it's just not gonna work because they're always gonna lean toward no. These closes are only as good as the sales calls. These are great and they're really good for getting those people over the line that you're struggling with, that need a little bit of a kick up the bum in order to do so. This isn't single-handedly going to win your deals, by the way. So a couple examples of it. Great, so we'll get you enrolled now and we'll get your onboarding call booked in for tomorrow morning. What's better for you, morning or afternoon? You're giving them 2 options. So they're not necessarily thinking yes or no. They're thinking, oh, when shall I have my onboarding call? Should I have it in the morning or should I have it in the afternoon? And then if you've got multiple levels, this is a great way of doing it. Which level do you think is best suited to help you get towards XYZ? Premium level, premium plus level, whatever they're called. So now we're going to move into objection handle closes. So these are really, really good for completing the framework of an objection handle. So we acknowledge the objection, we isolate it if we need to, we handle it, and then we reclose. These objections can slot in nicely depending on what that objection was and how you've handled it. You can use these to actually take them towards a close. So the first one we're going to go into is what I call the arm around the shoulder close, and it's one of my favorites, and it's used really well once you've just had that like fear-based objection or risk or something like that. Because what you're going to do is give them the love and the nurture that they need to know that you're in their corner and you're going to do everything it takes. And sometimes that's just what people need, that little bit of conviction and knowing that you've got their back, and then they'll invest into you, because sometimes it's a big change, right? These people are making big changes into their lives. So here's how it would sound in action. Look, I completely get it's a big decision for you, but I just want you to know that we're in your corner and I've got your back every step of the way. And I want you to promise me one thing. If you ever get stuck, if you ever need any extra support, you might need a bit of a kick up the bum, whatever it may be, is that you reach out and ask for it. Is that okay? We get a little mini commitment. Okay, cool. Because like I said, I want to remain as enthusiastic as you are to help you get towards these results. And we only do that by keeping communication nice and high. So what do you want to do next? and then we can move into another close. But it just gives them that little bit of loving, that little bit of support that they need to know that you've got their back. And again, with some of these objection handles, you might need to tweak and change how they're said, depending on who you're speaking to. If you use that type of objection handle and that same kind of tonality with like an A-type personality, CEO, alpha, like that kind of thing, they're probably gonna laugh you off the call. So again, just adapting it to your situation, to your needs. If they're a little bit more direct, mirror their energy, mirror their tonality and be a little bit more direct back, but you get the idea behind the objection handle. The next is what I call the what happens if close, and this is really, really good for the risk-based objection. It's actually quite good to handle the risk-based objection itself. So here's how it would look, and I'm going to chuck some numbers in there just for the sake of the objection handle. It's all hypothetical, obviously. Let's take a look at the risk. If you wasn't to do anything and you carried on doing what you're currently doing right now, you're 100% guaranteed to still be getting the same results, right? Yeah, and let's just say, for example, that you did take some sort of action, you was to work with us, and let's just say that you're some magic anomaly and we don't hit the kind of goals that we're looking to hit with you, and we only get you 50% of the way there. By month, we're not in the business of 50%, but let's just say for some miraculous reason, you're an anomaly and we don't quite hit that. So if you carry on doing what you're currently doing, you're gonna carry on without your financial freedom. You're gonna be looking over your shoulder every time you need to look at your bank just because you're embarrassed by it. You're not gonna be able to do the things that you wanna do. You're not be able to take your kids out and do the things that you want to do, and you're definitely not living the life that you want to be living. But if you were to take some action and you was to only add an extra 5K per month instead of 10K, you're able to have a little bit more financial freedom. You're able to do the things that you want to do. It's going to take the pressure off a little bit. Which of those is more risky? Doing nothing, staying where you are, or taking action? Well, obviously it's doing nothing and staying where I am. Exactly, and like I said, we're not in the business of 50%. I want to go above and beyond to help you go well above and beyond where you want to go. That's what we've done with people in the past. We're going to do everything that we can to help you get the results from our end. Can you guarantee that you're going to put as much work in and get it going from your end? Well, yeah, absolutely. Okay, amazing. Let's do this then. Let's get you started and we can move into a close, a little bit more of a guidance close in that scenario. If somebody's asking for case studies, now this works really well if you have a case study ready and you can showcase it nice and quickly on the call. What we don't want to be doing at this stage is giving them an out, sending them a case study. But if somebody's determined, I need a case study, I need to see this, I need to see that, I promise you that isn't the reason, that isn't a real objection, but you might come across somebody that's a little bit like that, but it can help you either determine the real objection or it can handle it. It really is just another reason to say I don't trust you, but it can work really well if you do tend to get that objection. So an example of it being used, we're literally just gonna say to them, because we wanna get a commitment if we are to send them a case study. If I could show you someone exactly like you that we helped get towards 10K per month, whatever their goal is. I always use 10K per month because it's like the magic thing on the internet at the moment, but you get what I mean. Different people have different goals. It might not necessarily be a finance goal, but whatever it may be. Would you be ready to move forward today? So I'll do that again all in one go. So if I could show you somebody is exactly like you that we helped get towards 10K per month, would you be happy and would you be ready to move forward today? And if they say yes, okay, great. I'm gonna send you this right now. I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna show you this one right now. And we can go in and we can show them the case study and we can get them over the line. Probably not that in most cases. 90% of the time when people are asking for case studies, it's probably not that, but you do get some people that just want to see that case study. So there's 11 objection handles there that you can use. You can put 3 or 4 of them in your back pocket and you can use them on every sales call. It's really helpful to have them because what you don't want to do is if you are getting into a little bit of an objection battle at the end of the call, you don't want to be using the same line every single time. It gets obvious what you're doing, you're not attacking it from a different angle, and you're just going to keep getting the same result. The old saying, if you keep trying the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results, it's the definition of insanity. So we have a different objection handle that we can use a few different times to try and get them over the line. So give them a go. And also, while you're here, you might want to check out this video that YouTube thinks is going to make you a killer closer.